Today we are going to be rejoined by a former first-round pick, current host of Home by Three podcast, founder of Butter Golf, and commonly known around the NHL as the People's Insiders. Welcome back, Jordan Schmaltz. How are we doing?
Fella, how we doing? It's good to be back. It's good to see your chin, Shorzy. We are, well, on the other side of Labor Day. We're here, training camp. How your feet feeling? Are you getting ready for camp at all? How the workouts? How's the tennis game? Talk to me on that front, baby.
You know, I played an Avs DU alumni game. I was the general manager of DU. We got the victory 8-7 in the shootout. But after going 1-2 and +3, I might be making a comeback now. What about you?
You should. We should package deal. Let's get a deal somewhere over in Sweden. I got the second league calling me. I'm saying, fellas, I'm holding out. So you felt good on the ice, though.
Yeah, felt good on the ice. The event was awesome. What about you? How's the tennis game, most importantly?
It's good, man. I got to figure out my racket situation. I'm a Team Yonex guy, so I've tried everything from their V-Core to the EZ Zone or the EV Zone racket, and then the Percept, which I play right now. So I'm trying to find a smaller head, a smaller shape. I think I'm playing a 100 right now, but it's going well, man. I like my game. I got a coach. Forehand's getting better. Backhand has improved tremendously over the last year. So I feel good about my game. And there's not a ball I can't track down. That's the thing about me is you try to hit drop shots or play around the net. That's even at the baseline or a couple feet off of that, man. I'm the Energizer Bunny. So I like my game, Shorzy. I really do.
You know what's funny is one of my closest friends was a former tennis pro, and I actually, for the first time ever, popped 2 strings in a match a couple weekends ago against my brother, but it might have had something to do with my golf bag sitting on my rackets for about 3 weeks straight. But I like to say that I'm a pro now popping strings.
It feels nice to break a couple of the screws. It always happens to me when I'm hitting the ball machine, so I've never actually done it during live play. But yeah, man, that's how you know. Like, and then the next step is you got to have a string guy, because that is huge. I've learned over the years, the last couple of years of actually playing, is you got to have a guy that really knows how to dial it in. You
always have a guy. You got a guy for everything.
Yeah, well, I see. The thing with me is I actually have a guy that he works part-time at the Guitar Center. So he's working on a 6-string acoustic guitar, stringing those, and then at night he goes over to All About Tennis and he works on, my racket. So that's the thing, Shores. You got to have a guy for everything. You know that.
We've been talking about doing this tennis bet forever. Are we going to do it?
Yeah, we got to. We got to line up the cameras. We got to see my camera guy. He works for the D-backs during the year, so he's really busy. And if we need to do this and we want to do it, we have to do it properly. So we're going to need probably at least 2 different camera guys. We're going to have to figure out the bet, and then we're going to have to figure out, are we playing a best of 3, or are we going major style where it's a best of 5? So we got a few things.
We're going major style. If I'm flying all the way down there for this, we're going major style.
Yeah, I think we have to. I think it'd have to be a 5-set banger.
Big match today, actually, in a couple hours. Djokovic, Alcaraz.
Yes. And if you watched the women's match last night, Anisimova, that was unbelievable. Took the screws to Naomi after a back-to-back. Honestly, I like watching the women's a little more sometimes, depending on what the matchup is. Obviously, today is an unbelievable match with Alcaraz and Joker, and we'll see what happens there. But yeah, this has been good, man. This has been really good tennis. I was there Monday. I just watched Yannick Sinner put the screws to Bublik. Oh my God, that match was amazing. I don't know everything about tennis, but I know a decent amount, and I don't think I've ever seen a guy like Sinner play this good. Man, he's like a robot out there. Like his footwork, how in the zone he is, it was incredible to watch. I was like, Jesus Christ. I was just finding myself in awe watching him. It was unbelievable.
I think one of the guys he smoked was basically said he was an AI tennis player after in the post-game interview. But I heard the event is awesome. I've never been, but it's a blast to go to.
It is, yeah. We had great seats this year. It's getting to the point, I think, over the years where it's almost becoming a bucket list or a essential item for every influencer to hit, right? So you got Coachella, that starts you off in spring training, and then you usually get into some Stagecoach maybe, and then you work your way into a 4th of July party in the Hamptons, and then Labor Day rolls around, and you got to be an influencer, and you got to be at the biggest stage in tennis. So they flock there. So yes, it is a cool event. It's getting a little bit more white collar than the sport already is, I would say. But that's where I come in. I bring the flavor, and I show up in a New York Knicks jumpsuit, and I say, "What the fuck's up?" And I'm sitting three rows off the court, and people are looking around like, "Who is this guy?" And that's the Peoples.
I saw you. You're hanging out in West Village. You were thinking about moving there. Are you still doing that?
I think so, yeah. I think you need about $10 million in a starter pack to get your feet off the ground there. If you really want to live somewhere that doesn't have rats running around or infested by mice, I would love to be there, man. It's a center of comedy. It's a center of show business, but to do it the right way, man, and not just be a slumdog millionaire, you probably gotta realistically make about 3 sheets a year, right? And even then, you don't have the penthouse in Tribeca. Actually, you're far from it.
Yeah, you're on the first floor still if you're making 3 sheets there. Let's talk show business. You recently rebranded your podcast. I didn't follow the whole YouTube scandal, but take me through what happened there, the rebrand, what's going on.
Yeah, so we can only like publicly talk about it for 30 seconds with the deal we signed with CBC and Hockey Night in Canada, but you can put 2 and 2 together. Our logo was obviously pretty much the same fucking thing. And the name, I didn't know they had the naming rights for Hockey Night In. So short story long, basically I had to rebrand. They actually worked in good faith with us to do so. Pretty hilarious negotiating with a multi-billion-dollar company's lawyers, and it's just the Peoples and Gucci on the phone. But I thought we got a fair deal. We came out where we were able to restore all of our content, got our YouTube page back, and then rebranded. And yeah, now it's more, I think, in a lane where we're supposed to be, right? Like before, it was a hockey show that didn't really talk about hockey. That was the running joke. It still is.
Yeah, is it a hockey show?
But this gives us, I don't know. I mean, we talk a ton about NHL action, but this gives us an angle to be more comedy-based, roll out different things. Like this fall, we're going to 3 cities already at comedy improvs, and we're putting on shows like we do. It's live improv, and it's hilarious. The one show in Chicago at the Improv is the night before Tim Dillon, so it's like Home by 3 and then Tim Dillon coming in. So getting into these comedy clubs is massive for us, and we're rolling out a tour for 25, 26, but it just puts us in a lane where it's more versatile. Yes, we still are going to be tied to hockey, but at the same time, it's more comedy-based, riffing, and go for 1, stay for 2, Home by 3. That's the show, man.
So when you guys go to these live shows, do you guys just stand up and rip off each other, or are people asking questions, or what's the layout like?
Yeah, man, it's just basically we walk into a room, like our last show in Boston, there was roughly 350 people there. It was sold out. How are you? And we walk up there with no opener. We get on stage, we address the people, and not only are they foaming for the mouth for us to say something crazy, they're about 15 drinks deep. So it's really puts you on your toes early to, 1, make them laugh, and put on it, and 2, put on a good show. So we always say, like, this show might suck. We don't know what we're going to say. This is literally live ball, live improv. And it gives me that same feeling of stepping on to the Bell Center ice on a Saturday night when, the barn's rocking. The French Canadians are all over you, and it's go time. So that's where I get those butterflies. And I love it, man. It's a big challenge, and I think every show we've done, we only get better. So it's been a lot of fun.
Best atmosphere of a show you guys have done is where?
Ooh, tough to beat that last Boston crowd, minus the BU Nerd Biscuits walking out on us after we comped their tickets on stage. But that's a story for another day. That's just Gen Z being Gen Z. Yeah, I would say Boston, man. Toronto was crazy. Toronto, people were like throwing things on stage at us. I mean, we're not the Beatles, we're not Harry Styles, but we always, from the last 3 or 4 shows, we make sure we have security because these people are mutants, and I say that in the nicest way possible. But a Home by 3 fan, if there was 100 people in a room, I could pick out the 2 or 3 Home by 3 fans, no problem.
Between that and the way Butter Golf's taken off, you almost need full-time security everywhere now.
I know. I think I gotta maybe find a guy, dude. I gotta start. Maybe I go to a biker bar today down here in Scottsdale and see if we can find a security guy for us.
You need a guy for everything.
We do. You need a guy, man. I got a fur guy. I got a wig guy. I got everything.
With the break in hockey right now, it's been pretty quiet on things. Are you guys watching football? What are you talking about? Are we just talking off season? I want to get into the Nick Schmaltz snub that I loved, but let's start there. Let's talk about it. USA releases their orientation roster. Our boy, fan of the show, is not on it. What are we thinking?
I don't know, man. I saw that roster come out, and it's just an orientation camp, right? So it's not the final team, and I don't think Nick would be on the team if everybody was healthy. But I think he's closer than a lot of people think, and I think he's a lot better defensively and more versatile than a lot of people think that don't watch the Utah Hockey Club or, in recent years, watch the Arizona Coyotes. He's a great player. He's a Swiss Army knife. He can play penalty kill, power play, up and down the lineup. So right there, and even a guy like Alex DeBrincat and Brock Besser, who are also 40 goal scorers, not on the list. So you go with guys that are younger that you think might be on the team in 2030. You bring in a guy like Frank Nazar, a couple other younger names. I get that from a side of management and coaching. You want to get these guys acclimated and familiar with the process. My only thing, Shorzy, is where's the respect for the guys that have played 10 years in the league and been point-per-game players, 40 goal scorers for the better part of a decade? That's where I think it gets lost. Because either way, Frank Nazar or one of the younger players, they're not making the team. And nor probably is Nick Schmaltz, Brock Besser, Alex DeBrincat, if everybody is healthy. So I just think as USA Hockey, a manager, somebody working for that organization would be like, you know what? I think we give the veterans the tip of the cap, show them some respect for their play over the last 10 years, and just being recognized as one of the best USA Hockey players we have. They're probably not going to make the team, but here they are. They're respected. We're showing them recognition, saying, you know what? You're on the map. You've been a great player for X amount of years. We're going to reward you and give you a little bit of a boost going into the season versus just bringing in a guy that played 50 games and put up 24 points, and he was in Rockford for half the year, and he played in the World Championships, which is a grade level C tournament. Like, I don't give a shit if you had a good World Championships. I really don't. That doesn't mean anything. The standard is the National Hockey League. International play at the World Championship level. I mean, Canada went on a 2-week bender and then lost to Denmark. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. So that's my only thing.
I even played in the World Championships, and I was retired, I think, 2 years later.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? It's, to me, I think respect outweighs what the future could look like. We're giving guys orientation camp invites after he played 50 fucking games in the league at 20 points. It's not like he had a point a game, Shorzy. I just think the respect has gotten lost a little bit where, yes, he might be a hopeful. Some of these kids might be hopefuls in 2030, but they're not even close yet. So keep working, fellas.
Here's a question. Do you think those guys care? Like, I mean, you know a lot of those guys better than me. If you're a guy like Brock Besser, who's played in the league 10 years, if you know you're not going to be on the team, do you care about getting that orientation camp snub?
So here's the thing is would you rather stay at home and not take the 4 days to go to Detroit, stay at the Three Diamond Westin, and play a couple rounds of blackjack at the Felt over at the MGM? Yeah, you're probably right. You're saving them a trip. But I think at the same time, man, the Olympics is a different standard. It's a different way of being recognized. It's the highest level. So I still think as competitors, it ticks them off. It would piss me off. Do those guys just rub it off, whatever, like just it rolls off their shoulder, I'm making $7 million, life's good? Yeah, probably. But at the same time, I think to their core, they want to be recognized as some of the best players this country has to offer. And I just think there's just a better way to do it. I would have brought him in. I really would have.
Speaking of injuries, when you look at that team, obviously the big one that everyone's talking about now is Matthew Tkachuk. If you're the GM of the team, say the Olympics are in February, he comes back in January, how concerned are you just after what he's done the last couple of years? Are you just snap taking him no matter what? Even if he's coming back at 60%, he's a guy who's clearly a winner you're taking no matter what.
Yeah, I'm probably taking him. I think the locker room needs him just as much as the on-ice play. I would like to see him skate and play a few games before we committed to that. But even so, if he was cleared by doctors, given permission to play by Bill Zito and Florida's management, yeah, I think you have to have him on the team, even if he's 70, 80%. He can slot in at worst as a 13th forward, right? You could play him up and down the lineup and just use him as an auxiliary player, but he's got to be on the team. And he will be, obviously, if he's healthy. But, yeah, I think that's a no-brainer.
I agree. I think the Olympics is going to be great after the Four Nations. One thing I thought was weird with the Four Nations is so many of those rosters were announced so early into the season. Like, I almost would have liked them to be delayed a little bit. I mean, I know you got to plan for different things and injuries, but it'll be nice to see who gets off to a good start this year.
Yeah, and I think Team Canada's got some real questions, especially just on their right wing side. Last year they elected to go a little bit lighter and a little bit more skilled, maybe taking Konechny, Jarvis, some of those smaller players that are kind of the same style. Now, do you go with Tom Wilson? Do you bring in some other names? Personally, I would love Wilson on my fourth line, but in international play, is he a guy that takes a 5-minute elbowing penalty? Well, yeah, if the tournament gets to the point where, the thermometer is turned up, that very well could happen. So you got to think of that too. But yeah, there's a lot of different things. I think, obviously Canada is the reigning champ there at the Four Nations. I just think that they probably are going to construct their roster in a different way than maybe so less than a year ago.
Did you see the quote? Did you see John Cooper's quote about the Ferrari? That was so sick. What did he say? He said, like, basically, like a 1970s Ferrari was different than like their 1975 Ferrari. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, that's a great quote. That's exactly what he said. He basically said, you keep fine-tuning the machine until you get it right and you perfect it. So, yeah, I'm interested to see what that lineup looks like. I think there's going to be a few changes. Nick Suzuki is probably not a guy I would have on my team, but he very well could be there. And there's some other names as well.
Why would you pass on Suzuki?
What do we need him for? Fourth line center? I think there's better options. I really do. I just think there's better options out there.
I actually think that's something Canada has done better than the U.S. historically. Is like U.S. teams, especially in like even the World Junior stuff back when we were growing up, would just always take the best players.
Yep.
But like a guy like Lane Hudson, for example, like if he's a guy who's not going to run your power play, like are you taking him? Like I feel like historically they would have taken him just because he's one of the best players to be a 5-6 D-man, but then they would have had no role for him.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're looking at Team USA and everyone's like, "Oh my God, why wasn't Hudson at the camp?" Well, first of all, who gives a fuck about the camp? It's just a camp. Like he's not on the team. So if you're looking at Lane Hudson's game, where does he slot in? Well, he probably only slots in if Quinn Hughes goes down, right? Then he might be playing on the second or first pair, but he's not going to be playing over Jacob Slavin on the left side in the shutdown role. And the way Sanderson skates, he ain't going to play over him or Werenski. So there's 3-4 lefties right there. It's USA, I think, has done a good job of that. You're right. I think a guy like that, he shouldn't be too concerned. But even for like 2030, do you have both those guys on your team, Hudson and Hughes? I guess you would, right? But it's like the same player. And then you have Fox, too, who's undersized as a right shot. I don't know.
It's kind of like I was just thinking, someone was talking to me yesterday about Pittsburgh and kind of the mess that they're in. But like Carlson and Letang, right? Like bringing in basically the same player and just doesn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle smoking doobie doobis, like, you bring a guy like that in because he's a great player in Carlson. You think he can change the way your backhand operates, especially the way he can move the puck. But don't you think they would have seen how it worked out in San Jose and Man Jose with Burns and Carlson? Like, it just didn't work. Like, you can't, that's too many cooks in the kitchen on the right side.
I was just thinking back to the Four Nations that the U.S. was missing Hughes and McAvoy, right? Late in that tournament?
Yeah, McAvoy got hurt after the Canada game, I believe. Yes.
Sanderson's turned into a heck of a player.
Yeah, the way he can skate from his own goal line to his blue line is insane. He's a one-man breakout. It's like 3 strides. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys where he wheels the net. He's inside the dots. He shakes that first F1 and then allows himself an option not only to skate it out of the zone or go up the middle or go up the wall. Like he's a one-man breakout. I think he still is so far from his ceiling too. Like he's just scratching the surface of where he could be. I think he eventually is going to be an 80-point defenseman. I think he's going to challenge for Norris's, whether he wins them over Makar or Hughes or some of these guys. That's up to the voters. That's not the people's decision. But the way he can skate, man, is that one-man breakout. It's so impressive.
You think the Peoples will have a vote in that in a couple of years?
Well, they should be giving me one now. I don't know. I don't think they should take all of the credentials away from all the other writers and just come to the Peoples. I'll decide.
There's some rumors in the hockey circles that some of the writers are kind of anti-Peoples. I mean, you're breaking trade news now before TSN is. And I mean, like there's a lot of people upset with the way the Peoples has just kind of climbed in and taken over the hockey media.
Yeah, they get upset, right? A lot of people, you get when there's competition out there, or there's a new wave or a different way of doing it. I think it ruffles some feathers, but that's where I want to be. I want to be right in the chaos, baby, on my feet, on my toes. That's where I operate best. It is funny though. I mean, I've gone after, just jokingly, a Mark Lazarus, and the guy just, I'll tweet at him just every now and then, every time I'm in Chicago, and he gets so rattled. It's just like, bro, this is Twitter. Just relax. But everyone else, man, I think, I think the Peoples resonates well with a lot of those guys. Jeff Merrick, shout out to Jeff, great dude. Elliot, all those guys. Dave Amber. The Peoples is here to stay, and hockey is just not the only thing I do, Shorzy. It's just something I love.
No, the game needs some fresh media too,
For
right?
sure.
Like, it's been a little bit stale for a long time.
100%.
Let's talk a little college hockey. I had my boy David Carl on the podcast last week. Your boy is the new GM of North Dakota.
Yep.
I can't even keep track with who they're signing, but he's sending that fucking thing on Twitter every day like they're signing some new 5-star recruit. Is it? Are we looking good this year?
I think so, man. I really do. I didn't make it up to pro camp this year because I had to go to NYC. People's is big time. You know what I mean? I can't be going up to Forks more than twice a year. But they just had their pro camp, and they had a lot of guys back, which is huge. Dane Jackson, in terms of the alumni support, is unbelievable. And it should be, because he's a great man, and he's earned this chance to be the head coach of North Dakota. He's put his time as an assistant, 20-odd years, whatever it is, and ultimately, when they let Brad Berry go, which was a shock to all of us, we're like, okay, if you're going to let Bubba go, you have to keep it inside the family. And they'd made the right decision, and they went with Dane Jackson. So a lot of guys were up there, including my brother, cousin, Besser, Forbert. A lot of these guys were just up there, as well as Matt Green, who was an absolute beauty, was like the liaison for the pro camp. So these guys were all up there. They said it was great. Jax is off to a great start. And they have a guy named Bryn Chiswick, who was a 3-year roommate and who's also been a guest on this show on Betting on Your Chin. I think he's one of the smartest hockey minds I've ever talked to. I think he's an unbelievable recruiter in terms of a talent evaluator, and the way he can see the game and the way he works. I think he's one of one. I think he's going to help tremendously get North Dakota back to where we belong. And we'll see from there how the year shakes out. But they got the right pieces in place. They have a lot of hungry dogs. And you know what? I'm excited for this year. And I think Jax is going to do a great job. Everything he's saying. I went to a Coldplay concert with him and Hackstall back in July. They came to Madison, and we were just chopping it up, how excited he was for the team, putting his own stamp on what he believes in. And I'm excited to get up there for the Minnesota series in the middle of October. I think that's going to be a real test early on. And if we can get a sweep, a win, and a tie, especially a Saturday night win, if we're going to win, let's win on Saturday. If you know that, Shorzy, in college, it's only 2 games. It would be really good momentum going into the year. So I'm excited for those guys, man. I really am. Chiz is my boy. You know that.
Are you dropping the puck?
I should be. I'm just wondering when I'm getting the call for the Hall of Fame. What I'm wondering.
I'm a little bit worried for my DU Pioneers with everything going on in NIL. And I mean, I know North Dakota has a football program, but it's not, I wouldn't call it an elite football program.
No.
Like, how hard do you think it's going to be for some of these schools without elite football programs? I mean, the Gavin McKenna deal was reported at whatever number it was reported at. But I mean, if you're a 17-year-old kid and you're getting if you're getting 5-10x the money, like, you're probably not going to DU or North Dakota.
Yeah, it sucks that way. I think it's definitely changed the landscape. And like you said, unless you're a Big Ten school or deep pockets out east and Hockey East, and there's select schools that can even pay out there, it's a weird landscape, man. I think tradition, pride, and culture are a lot of these different pillars schools like DU and North Dakota have to rely on, because North Dakota can't pay you $700,000 like Gavin McKenna. They can't even pay you half of that, like, if I'm being honest. And I don't know if DU can probably do that either, unless Shorzy opens the pockets with some financial wealth guys and goes and fundraises. But yeah, it's just not possible. So you have to rely on tradition, your coaches, and ultimately the connection you share with the family and the player. And that gets hard, but you can get creative. Look at North Dakota. We just peeled those 2 kids off of Victoria, right? They're going to be great players, high-end draft picks. DU is going to be all right. DU has lived and died, Shorzy, as you know, by finding these mid-round picks, these Dylan Graham Bells, these little right shots that come in and they put up over a point a game, the Will Butchers of the world. Like, DU's always done a good job of finding these kids that are like 19 coming out of the BCHL that put up 120 points and they step into the lineup and put up 50 points their first year of college. So I think they have a great recruiter there. That Tavis McMillan is still there, right? Is that his name?
Yep.
So he's still there. You got, obviously, our boy DC. They're going to be fine. You just got to get creative in different ways because you can't pay the big bucks for the McKennas of the world. But I don't even, like, what is McKenna going to put up, man? Is he Eichel good his freshman year? Like, I played against Ikes his freshman year. He was fucking unbelievable. Like, I got me.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, it's a hard league, right? Like, even if he's a first overall pick, you're still 17, 18 years old. And I think that one thing I'm kind of torn on is everyone's like, oh, what do you think of the CHL rule? Right? And I mean, it's good for college hockey, obviously, but it is the average American USHL player. It's going to get harder and harder, especially now that they cut these roster limits down. I think most teams had 27, 28 guys now, and now it's capped at 26. Like, are you in favor of that because it's good for the game? Or do you, I mean, it's obviously sucks for some of these American kids.
Yeah, I mean, like, how many guys can you have on a team, right? Are we building a 52-man roster going into camp, right? It's like, how many guys can we have? There's also talks of all these new expansion programs coming into the fold, too. I just don't, like, okay, Lindenwood, some of these schools, what's the school in South Dakota and Sioux Falls? Like, some of these schools, I'm blanking on the name of the school in Sioux Falls, but there's a lot of these mid-major programs that are coming into the fold. Why don't we get some more big-time schools? Why don't we get a USC? Why don't we get a UCLA? Why don't we get the Runnin' Rebels, UNLV in the mix? Like, let's get some bigger schools in the mix versus adding these mid-majors to D1 hockey. I think that would go a long way. Get a team in the SEC. Texas should have a team. These are things that we've talked about just off camera, Shorzy, where we should bring in blue blood just schools in general versus relying on some of these mid-majors and things like that. But that's kind of a different story a little bit.
You know what I heard the other day, which was kind of interesting? I mean, I had heard that USC, Stanford, all these schools were going to get a hockey program. But then someone was telling me the way the new NIL rev share works, where you're only allowed to have 20 or 21 million to split among your team. Some of these schools might not want to add a hockey team now just because they don't want to put any money into it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a decent point there. But, yeah, I don't know. I just think some of these, like, California needs a Division I program. I really think that. I think UNLV is closer than people think as well. But let's see. Let's see where it goes. I just think if we're going to add teams, let's add bigger programs versus mid-majors. But I do see what you're saying. You know, they don't want to spread the wealth per se.
There's been a lot of talks in the new CBA about kind of how many teams they're going to how many NHL teams are going to be allowed to allow 18 and 19-year-olds to play in the American League. What do you think of these changes? And, like, are you in favor of that?
Yeah, I think so. And I think if you're in major junior and it's like your third or fourth year playing, it's your third year and you're absolutely lighting it up and you got to go to Bakersfield to prove your stay before you get to Edmonton. I think it could be good. The only thing is you don't want to play too long in the American League. As much as that, you know, can be a development league, I think there's a cutoff for the American League where you become a prospect to suspect pretty quickly. So
you know where it is? By the way, I used to tell guys this all the time.
What's that?
You should be so happy to sit right behind the coaches on the bus, because as soon as you start to go even middle of the bus, back of the bus, it's fucking over.
Yes, 100%. You should be sitting by the first row of TVs or even closer to the front.
Yeah.
So that's my only thing. Like, I know it might sound weird and bad to some people, but you don't want to play too long in the American League. And if you go to that league at 18, man, you could end up playing 4 years in that league. And then not only have you not made your own club, But then there's question marks around, can this guy play, because you haven't gotten that call up, or maybe you've been called up and you've been sent down. Maybe that cycle's happened 3 or 4 times, and that's what I'm saying is that's when you go from prospect to suspect, and people around the league start asking, like, why can't this guy stick? And then it could just be an opportunity thing. But really, when you go to Hockey DB and you're up and down, and you know what I mean? So you don't want to play too long in the American League. So that's my only thing is if those kids go to the American Hockey League earlier, well, there's got to be a plan to hopefully get them to the National Hockey League sooner. There's got to be some language there or something in the CBA, because I think it could end up being a twofold type of thing where, yes, it could be good, but it also could be bad for a lot of these players. Like, dominate the level you're at, have fun. The jungle will always be there.
It will always.
The jungle will always be there.
Rockford, Illinois will always be there.
Right? You know what I mean? Like I wish I would have never left after 3 years. I mean, hindsight's always 20/20. You got your agent, the general manager telling you you're a first-round pick, Shorzy, you're a second-round pick, sign your deal, you're going to be full-time in the NHL the next year. But maybe I would have played out my 4 years, become a free agent. Now I have the pick of the litter, because then you can get in the league and get your 200 games, and then that's where you really have a runway.
I know. I talk to kids about that all the time. Like, no one doesn't make the NHL because they stay in college too long.
No.
You know what I mean? And it's like there's such a rush. I wonder if the NIL will change that at all. I mean, I was super excited to sign a contract, get a signing bonus. I'm sure you were too. You're 19, 20 years old. But if you had been at North Dakota, being the People's Insider, making, I don't know, maybe more than American League money, maybe more guys would have stayed.
Yeah, or say I'm the Peoples and I'm not at North Dakota, but I'm at a BU or a Wisconsin, and they can give me $100,000 a year. Now my decision might be a little different. Maybe I could leverage that with, hey, I'm going to sign a pro contract here, and I'm getting 160 or 170 guaranteed with my signing bonus and my American League salary. So if you guys could match that at Minnesota or somewhere else, I'll stay. I'll stay in school. So that's an interesting point. I think that's something where, like you said, there's never been a player that's been upset from being overcooked in college and then step into the NHL or play less games at the American Hockey League level and then go to the show.
I was thinking, when you look back on your career, thinking about those early days, what would you have done differently maybe those first couple years in the minors now that you've been out of the game for a little while?
I don't know. I mean, my first couple years, dude, I was good. I mean, I was, my brand of hockey was solid. I think, maybe I could have rounded out my game a little bit better to go in and realize what St. Louis needed at the time. They didn't need a power play guy. They didn't need a puck mover to play in the top 4. They needed a guy maybe with 2 backhands, or a guy that was just going to be a responsible defenseman and penalty kill and play tight gaps, move the puck, but be like a silky number 5 defenseman versus trying to play one way, the only way I knew how to, which was, high risk, high reward, but at the same time, the risk and the production is going to outweigh everything else that happens underneath that. So I don't know, man. I think I would have changed just my approach. I think I would have realized what the team needed, get my foot in the door first, play a certain way that they wanted me to, and then from there explode and become what I could be. But I didn't really understand that. I thought you just were like pegged into roles, and the next thing you know, you become a plumber. So I think that's something I wish I would have had. I also wish I would have had better coaching down there in the American Hockey League. Like, it was a fucking nightmare in Chicago. So there's just different things that, I always think when it doesn't work out, especially with high prospects, it's probably 50% on the player and 50% on the team, and then plus or minus 10% off of that, whether it's 60% player, 40% team, or vice versa. At the end of the day, not to be a loser and not have a mindset of a loser, you always look back and you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, what could I have done differently? And the rest is out of your control. So I like to think I could have done a few things differently, but maybe the situation wasn't the best for me personally at the time.
I thought your point about just doing whatever you have to do to get your foot in the door was super important, because I didn't do that either, right? Like,
no.
Florida at the time had Barkov. They didn't need a first or second line center. So what I should have done is just become the best third line center I could be, but I didn't really understand that. And then I was just talking the other day, a perfect example of this is a guy like Morgan Geekie.
Yep.
who I played with in Carolina, who basically was playing fourth line in Carolina, was playing fourth line in Seattle. Finally, during one of the playoffs, someone in the top six gets hurt on the wing. Then he goes to Boston. But I mean, he's a guy who, if once you solidify yourself as a 200, 300 game NHLer, then you can expand your game out. But like not providing yourself with that opportunity is kind of what you and I both did. And then that's why we're podcasting now.
100%. Because you think that you're going to be or have to be that type of player forever, which isn't true. It's just because there's guys that have been in the league way longer than you that are more solidified National League hockey players. Like the coach is going to play those guys, and that guy's making $6 million, and you're making $825. So you're not just going to go right up to the penthouse. That's something I could never really understand before it was almost too late. Is yeah, you might be better skill-wise. You might actually run a power play better than someone playing above you, but that guy's an established player, and he's done it for way longer than you. What makes you believe that you're just going to step in and just be handed the keys? Very few players get that, so that's something, I mean, I think they should teach even further at the American Hockey League level. I haven't been in the AHL in a while. I'm sure it's changed, but before it was just kind of like you're out there in the jungle on your own to figure it out, where if I just had someone in my corner telling me like different things like that and just the nuances of the game and how pro hockey worked, I think I would have been better off, but that's show business, baby.
A lot of it comes down to, like you said, is like the situation within your team, right? Because you know what I mean? You're so concerned about everyone kind of knows. And if you're a guy too, like you got sent up and down a lot, how I did, that's tough too. Some of these teams, like the old Detroit way back in the day, where keep a guy in the minors a little bit longer. And then when he gets called up, have a spot for him to actually play for an extended period of time, because it's hard as a player to go up for 2 weeks, play a game, get scratched for 1 or 2, play a game, get sent down. And you can just really never find a role.
Yeah, exactly. I think when you're on that roller coaster, the biggest thing it hurts is your confidence and your self-belief. And then when you lose that on top of not getting the amount of touches you need, whether that's due to healthy scratches, minutes, going up and down, going back to the American Hockey League, you get out of rhythm and you get out of flow, and you almost feel like you're playing a season within the season of just trying to catch up and find your game. And that's where it can really go downhill, and you get into a slump of 20 games, and you might not get called up the rest of the year. So that's what Detroit really did well, with especially that started with Scotty Bowman, of just overcooking guys and bringing them up at the right times. And I mean, Darren Helm used to get called up strictly for the playoffs. Like he would play almost the full year in Grand Rapids, and then Mike Babcock would call him up around the trade deadline, and Darren Helm would play the rest of the season and then into the playoffs, and he'd be like their number one penalty killer. It's crazy how well Detroit did that. But yeah, man, there's so many different things that go into it. Situation is big. You look at a lot of players. I mean, everyone in every draft class could look at tons of guys and be like, holy fuck, like I'm better than him, but you know what? He took advantage of it, how his opportunity shook out, and you got to tip your cap. So that's life and that's sport, but it is interesting to go back and look and just be like, fuck, like, you know, maybe if I was here, this would have been different. Maybe if I would have, coulda, shoulda, right? There's a lot of different things.
Let's move on. Let's talk. I mean, it is golf season still. I mean, it's probably actually getting perfect weather down there. What's going on with Butter Golf? Are we still making stuff? What are we doing?
Yeah, so I ran into a guy that basically just fucked me. Like, just bent me over, took away the fucking sandpaper and just shoved it right up my hoop. And I've been waiting for my clothing that I developed from this fucking asshole for probably over, well, almost 2 years now. I came up with all this stuff. I developed fabrics, tech patterns, the cut of the stuff, everything. Had it all dialed in, paid it up front, which in hindsight should have paid it up front, but I was told I would get it very quick. This guy used to do stuff for all of New Balance's stuff domestically. New Balance ends up cutting this guy. Yeah, I think he was doing like $12 million a month in sales for New Balance. He was literally cutting all their premium stuff made stateside. So when they gassed him, he went quiet on me, and this was roughly January of 2024. So we're talking almost 2 years. I started with this guy in October of 2023. just been go. Like I developed a hoodie. That's the only item I've gotten. I haven't put it on the website yet because I've been just hoping and praying that my joggers would come in. The polo I developed would come in. It's unbelievable, like aloe type material, but I don't have it. And even like the couple graphic T-shirts I designed, none of this stuff I've gotten other than my hoodie. So it's just been frustrating, man. It's like to the point where this LLC no longer exists. It's bankrupt. You obviously liquidated all of my cash into a pre-existing business that doesn't exist anymore. So it's been a nightmare if I'm being fully transparent, but I'm going to roll out some new stuff here in the winter. I'm going to put these hoodies online and probably just have to cut my loss. It's been a shit show. I contact this guy like a psycho ex-girlfriend probably 6 to 15 times a week, and I haven't got a response in the last month out of him. He's a complete cocksucker. I'm not going to say his name, but yeah, that's where it's at, Shorzy. But you know what? It is what it is. We'll keep moving. Butter Golf. We'll be back.
We had some good progress. I mean, even during that Amazon NHL docuseries, a lot of the best players in the league were wearing it, and like it sucks to hear that because I felt like you were making some real progress in it.
Yeah, it's still good. Like our hat sales are great. Like the hats kill it. It's just I feel bad for people because I haven't had anything new that I've put out there because I've been kind of strapped and just hoping and praying this guy would get me my stuff. But I don't think that's going to be the case. So we'll take a loss on that. We'll be back buzzing. I'm going to get some new stuff rolled out here on the other side of the fall, and we'll go from there. But yeah, it's that's business, dude, and it's where that kind of has dipped. Home by 3 has took off, so it's kind of we'll get back up on our feet. We'll be all right. This isn't the end of Butter Golf. It's just that's what I've been navigating in these uncharted waters for the last 18 months. It's been fucking crazy.
I know a ton of people who are super successful in the clothing business who like once those tariffs came from China, like just got completely fucked too.
Yeah, but I think like that's entrepreneurship, man. I think you posted something the other day with that kid that had like it took him like 16 different ventures to get to the point where he finally cashed out. Like I love that shit.
That story was crazy, by the way. I saw that post. Like literally, I think he had 15. I think one of his 15 like cashed out a little bit, but like 14 of it didn't work, and then obviously he got that huge check on his most recent one. That was a cool story.
Yeah, it's like, losing $1 million here, 700,000 on this. This one closes. This is bankrupt. We're, it's just those wild stories of the roller coaster of entrepreneurs and staying with it. I think that was my first taste of taking one on the chin. And we're going to get back up and we're going to go back and we're going to march and do it even better. So, yeah, man, that was a cool story you posted. I actually sent that to a few different people of just, in my world, just stay with it, whatever you got out there, because it's going to be rewarding in the end.
Yeah, I struggle with that a lot day to day because I feel like even in my hockey career, like I was so fed up with going up and down. I just took a pretty good contract in Zurich at like 25, 26 years old, where it's like now you see guys who don't end up making it till they're 28 or 29. So I think about that a lot now. Like when you have a bad day being an entrepreneur, that like some of the shit takes a while.
Yeah, man. It's peaks and valleys, baby. You just got to be able to manage it. I think that's the biggest thing and not get down on yourself. That's huge. Like just Paul Pierce, one of the best quotes of all time. I walk around the same way whether I got $4 in my pocket or 40 million. You can't touch this swag, baby. This is my aura. You know what I mean? That's a great quote.
I love that. You're co-host of the show, Mr. Gucci.
Yes, sir.
He's quite the character. I've spent some time with you two together, which is just all-time comedy. What's it like working with him, and what's he actually like off camera?
It's good, man. I mean, Gucci's a pro now, dude. I like to say I've had a positive influence on him, or maybe it's just the fact that we're hitting our mid-30s and he just can't booze like he used to, but he's a pro now, dude. He really is. We're obviously tied in together with the show in business, with Home by 3. And you know what? He's become a pro after that 9-month bender he went on.
Sneaky. I love that when you call it sneaky.
Up on him. Yeah, it was a sneaky 9-month bender. But since then, man, yeah, he's put the hard hat on. He's a pro now. He can still have a good time, but those are limited to 1 to 3 times a month, I think. And he's become, I just think, a well-rounded veteran. growing up in front of all of our eyes. A late bloomer for sure. I think we're both late bloomers, and we're just hitting our stride. And yeah, man, it's jokes though. It's always cool when you work with someone that you like and you align with, but it's even cooler when it's your buddy and you're doing comedy together. I think a lot of times, shit can get, it's stressful, or, you're looking for the next sponsorship or the next check, or just different things of this business. But it always is brought back to light, or, just the spirits are higher when there's a guy like that around, just because the comedy side, and you can always find a laugh in something. So yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, something that I've kind of gone both ways on since I retired from hockey is done a lot of business with some of my close friends. And, you hear people say, like, never do business with close friends or family. And, like, there's been days where I've thought, okay, that's great advice. But then there's other days where there's nothing in the world better than winning with people that you love and love being with.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a risk in everything, right? If you're doing business with a buddy or a family member, and maybe that could potentially, forge a relationship, or like bring you closer, or it also could almost turn you off to someone. But I think that's anything, any venture in life, no matter who you're working with. I think you got to surround yourself with people ultimately you trust, and if they have never given you an excuse to not trust them or not like them, I don't see why it's a bad thing to do business with family or a friend. I mean, my dad and uncle have been partners for probably almost 30 years, and they got a great system that I've seen firsthand that works. Started from the mud, and I've cashed out for some decent chunk of change in the last few years. So yeah, man, I think that's anything. You just gotta find a guy that's comfortable being in the trenches with you, and then you fucking take it from there.
Love that. Season training camps rolling up. A couple guys who are pretty well known are still unsigned. You're running a team that has a chance to win. Are you taking a shot on any of those guys?
Who we got on the big board?
I was talking. That Jack Roslovic is big. A lot of people are talking about him. Max Pacioretty still unsigned. He'd be a guy after the playoffs. I mean, I'm sure it's more of a family decision for him, but if you could get him on a team-friendly deal after being hurt for so long, I think I'd take a run at.
Yeah, that Roslovic too. He slots in. He can play second, third line. Even if on a fourth line, he could be a solid, serviceable forward, a guy that could get you 15 goals, play on a second power play. Patches, obviously, he's a shade of what he used to be, but he's still very serviceable and a good veteran, and can score some timely goals. I don't know. Those are names that I think a lot of teams could use. But as we know, the closer you get to training camp, your dollar figure decreases by the day. If you were asking for $3 million, like maybe Roslovic was on July 1, well, now your price, fella, probably about 1.5. And in about a week, it's about $1 million. And then it turns into a PTO. So I don't know what he's got on the table, if anything, but I just know this time of year, this is when you get absolutely trimmed, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you're a guy like him. You're coming off a good year. Now it's like it might make sense to sign a short-term deal. I think he wanted. Yeah, he wanted a couple years, is what I was told at the beginning. I mean, I have no inside information on that, but yeah, I didn't realize that either as a player. Like normally, July 1 comes or whenever before that, whatever you want to say. Your first offer is normally your best offer. Like you very rarely see guys hold out through the summer and then end up getting paid more.
No, you never do, man. You're always going to get trimmed because the season starts. They already have their rostered players, and there's no money to be had, especially at camp. And everyone loves their team at camp. You look at non-playoff teams that sign some guys, they go into the year, they think they're a playoff team. They think they're a legit cup contender, and then Thanksgiving hits, and they've won 6 games. But there's one name that I hope that makes the National Hockey League is Milan Lucic, the big Luch. On a professional tryout in St. Louis, there's one spot they could use them. It's St. Louis. They're old school. There's familiarity with not only Doug Armstrong with Team Canada and Luch playing at a World Championships a couple of years ago. You got Jim Montgomery there, who was with Luch for a little bit in Boston. So I'm hoping the best for Big Luch and maybe get him back into the fold because I would love to see that big fella just chuck him a couple more times at the National League level.
How long has he been out now?
Like a year.
Is it a year and a half? Like it
yeah,
wasn't
like a year and a half.
All right. What do you think of? I'm bullish on Jonathan Toews. There's other people who I think it was a great signing. I think at worst he's a really good third line center. If he happens to find his offensive game at that number, it's good. What do you think if you had to put his stat line would be this year?
Who's his agent, man? Is Juddy his agent? How do you get
No,
him?
I think Pat Brisson. I think he's a CAA guy.
You got him like fucking 3 up front and like a couple $1 million in bonuses. He hasn't played like 2.5 years. Good agent there, Jesus. Yeah,
well,
I guess
you're making a comeback. You haven't played 2.5 years.
Yeah, I know, and my price is 7 figures too. I might have to give Patty Brisson a call. Over under Jonathan Toews. Over under on Jonathan Toews.
20 goals over or under.
Over under how many ayahuasca resets during the year? 0.5. How many points? Because they'll need one at Olympic break. Like you can't live in Winnipeg, man. It's just that'll just drive you into a deep state of depression. Over under points 37.5.
Oh, pretty good line.
37.5 is what I had when he signed. I'm sticking to it. I would say I'm hoping for the over. I think guy maybe 18 and he's probably just as many assists. I think that's the line, man. I really do. I think it's 37.5. If he plays a full 82, I'm hoping the over, but I don't know. Those boots don't look like they're moving too fast is my only concern.
No, but I think it will come down to if he can find a way to sneak net front or goal line on the first power play, like win the faceoff, go to the net front with Connor, Scheifele, Pionk and those guys. I take the over. But I mean, they don't really have I don't know who plays there normally on that power play, but if he can find a way to get on that PP1, I think he'll have some success.
Yeah, is it Lowry? I don't even know who plays there. Nemestikov?
Yeah, I mean,
like,
I think
one of those guys.
I think so, but I mean, he's an upgrade over all those guys. That's what I mean. I don't think they really have a guy to kind of win that face off every power play and then just go to the net. So if he does that, I think he'll have a lot of success.
Yeah, I mean, if he gives you 17 goals and who cares with the amount of assists, that's a win for that contract, 100%.
All right. Let's go. We're wrapping up here. You're doing a ton of things. We talked about this on the last pod. What is the ultimate success going to look like for you in a couple of years? Are we going to be running ESPN for the NHL if they ever go back on that? Are we going to be some team going to hire you to do their media? What are we doing?
Definitely not on the team front. I'm way too unhinged in a real way to do that.
I think those days have sailed. You're a little unhinged for that.
Dude, I would say staying close to sport a little bit, whether it's these like calling a games or doing something with these new streaming services, whether it's Amazon or whoever's going to do it. I would love to do that. I don't know if that'll ever come to fruition. What I do know is I love to keep diving into this comedy side of things. Get into a TV show, something along the lines of TV shows, movies, comedy, writing. All of that is something I really want to dive into. I think this step with working with the Comedy Store and comedy improvs across the U.S., the A-level clubs, is a huge get for us. I think that's a big just stepping stone and gives us legitimacy and credibility, not just going to bars. We're going to legit comedy clubs, the best clubs in the country, and we'll see where it goes from there, man. I think this is going to open up a lot of different doors for us, not only personally, but show-wise, within Hollywood, within show business, and in comedy. People are going to be seeing us in a different light. We're not just two guys talking about hockey. This is either going to be funny or it's going to suck. But I think it's going to be funny, and this is a new challenge for the year. So I'm really excited about that, man. And just playing the ball in front of me. Just keep, just focus on the next 18, 24 hours, and it'll amount to something. But that's always my biggest thing is just play the nugget in front of you. Just make a good first pass and then get up the ice.
Did you see the Portnoy Fox debut?
I did. I didn't watch it, but I caught the clips. Yep.
But I mean, it was great. Like you can see there's clearly a huge value in like that someone like who has a personality, can also talk a little bit of sport, is getting on these big things. I mean, I don't know if I would have watched the kickoff had he not been on there. I mean, the other guys are great, but he just added such a different element to it.
Yeah, the other guys are just the classic suits. They're very knowledgeable. You got Urban Meyer on there, and when he's not, at a Chili's trying to finger dart a young lady, he's pretty good. But yeah, he was good, man. The clips I saw, he stayed true to himself, so that's good. He's got his shtick, where he comes into Columbus and acts like the big Michigan man he is, and that's good TV. That's where TV needs to go. People like. I've been saying it for years, but the closer you can get to WWE style entertainment and what the UFC does, that's what people want to see, man. They don't want to see some cookie cutter bullshit. Like, they want real, they want raw. So we're getting closer to that. And Fox taking a chance on Barstool. That's really cool. They got a daily show now, Wake Up Barstool, that comes on at 8 a.m. Eastern every day. They have a rotating cast. And that adds a lot to Barstool just being on a major network. So we're going to be seeing more of that. I eventually think all podcasts will go digital. You'll see it on Spotify. You'll see it probably on different streaming services where it'll be like a Netflix. You can just watch a live podcast, because that's what all these kids are doing. They don't listen on the audio. They just watch it on YouTube. So I think that's kind of where it's going. And I know everything, so just ask me.
How can people check out your guys' show on YouTube?
Home by 3 on YouTube, Home by 3 official on Instagram and Twitter. And yeah, man, go check it out. Listen. If you're a hockey fan, we talk a ton about hockey, so go check it out.
Will your brother and the boys make the? I said last question, but I had one more. Will the Utah find a way to sneak into the playoffs this year?
I don't know. It's going to come down to their injuries, how they manage that. Goaltending is going to be big. They have a good team. I want to see where JJ Peterka slots in. I like to trade, but you're paying a guy $7 and a hook, and he's going to play on power play number 2 probably, right? If you're looking at their team. So let's see where he slots in. He's going to be a top 6 player. If they can stay healthy, their goaltending solid.
And how do you make up for the loss in the locker room for our boy Big Twos?
And they got no twos.
No twos. That could be a huge hole to fill.
Is Twos playing this year?
Twos is done. I think Twos is done. Well, he's moving back to St. Louis. We're losing a good soldier here in Denver, which sucks because he was obviously a phenomenal person to play golf, pickleball, hang out in. But yeah, he's moving back to St. Louis. I think he's starting to do some stuff with them there. But man, what a guy!
How's his tennis game or pickleball? Decent.
He stinks. Stinks at golf. Stinks at tennis.
But just a good dude.
Just a good dude. Just a good bad golfer too. ATM, so I'm gonna miss that. Yep. But no, he's a great guy, and we're gonna miss him here.
Your golf game getting any better? I know
No.
Really?
It's been in a dark. Oh, it's getting a little better. I'm coming out of a slump, but it's just not. It hasn't been a good year on the golf course.
I know. I remember you couldn't even break 85. I'm like, Shorzy, what's going on? I thought last summer you were dialed.
I was best I've ever been last summer. Handicap went from about a 3 to a 7 this year.
Wow.
Just not good.
Well, stay with it.
Stay with it. Hit the nugget in front of me.
Hit it. Just play it, baby. Play it.
Just play it. All right, brother. Well, thanks for doing this. Let's get this tennis bet locked in. I mean, how big your guys' show is, I'd love like an Amalfi logo on every single thing you do, or a betting the limit thing, which is going to be the end result. So let's get something on the books.
Yeah, keep whacking that ball machine. We'll get something on the books here.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, bro.